are live. The button says we're live. So, hi, everybody. Uh, we're sorry for the slight half-hour delay. This is because of the fact that the technology here kind of, I don't want to say it was bad, but it barely decided to work. We're going to let people take a moment or two to pile back in here. But hey, everybody, my name is Paul Williams, and this is Scott Golden here over here. Go ahead and say hi,
You're
Scott.
supposed to. I, you're supposed to let me introduce myself and everything. But so while we're waiting for everybody to join in, I have the list for tonight's Smash and Trash. If we want to get that started,
Let's go ahead and get started with that.
up on the docket, 500 questions is getting a British is getting a British version of that.
Okay.
So Paul, what is your take on that?
I generally like the 500 questions format. I just don't know if anybody will actually ever survive up to getting the full 500 questions. That's just one thing to do. Uh, but it was fun here in the United States. I generally like the format. It has kind of a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of feel to it, but more or less so kind of a Jeopardy or a Grand Slam. Um, but yeah, it's just a good solid feed. It's a good solid format, and I appreciate the fact that ABC is trying to go on ahead and do it.
So what's your take on it? Smash or trash?
I'll smash on that, and we'll go ahead and
I'll
see how.
probably yeah. I'm going to say the same thing. I'll say smash as well, because for the week that they done it for the 2 weeks that they did it over here and everything, good format. They fixed up what needed to be fixed in season two. They changed up the rules a little bit, so I'll say smash as well.
All right, all right. So next up on the
And
docket
the
then.
next up is Link Lip Lip Sync Battle Special to go on September 11th. They goes live.
That just sounds like a train wreck waiting to happen altogether.
So, what's your take on that one?
Lip sync battle is kind of a fun kind of a format. Just I don't know about doing it live. That just sounds kind of like weird. It might be um kind of the same way how what's his name has car ride karaoke. But I don't know. It really depends on who's going to be the two that's going to be there.
Yeah, I'll trash it. Not a live on September 11th. Now I'll give it a trash and everything.
All right.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, to the viewers that are right now in the viewer chat, if you want to come in, just we have the links posted on the Facebook page and over on the YouTube channel, so you can click that and join in as well. Next up on the thing, Mexim is coming back for a new season of Dancing with the Stars.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was that?
Let me spell it out. It's Maksim.
Oh, Maxon.
Max, he's coming back for a new season of Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, I'm going to have a no opinion on this because I generally avoided Dancing with the Stars like the plague, so I really just never bothered watching it altogether.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it. I watched it when Cloris Leachman was on.
Okay, but yeah, I
No,
just don't have an opinion.
so abstained, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna trash it. I'm gonna trash it. Though I'll do give what's his name credit for hosting it. So that's about it.
Okay. Tom Bergeron, right?
And yeah, and last on the docket is the identity of the banker on the UK Deal or No Deal is finally revealed.
I find it funny how they revealed the UK banker, but not the United States banker.
So what's your take on that one?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of generally thought that Well, this wasn't new. I mean, he was outed last year. I just never really thought that they would ever really get around to doing that. Like,
Mm.
you know, to be fair, the format from the United States to the United Kingdom was a little bit different. Um, in a sense that even when the only major difference between the United States and the United Kingdom games is that they didn't have those weird face the wheel kind of mini games that the United States did. Even though the player takes an offer, their game is never really officially done. Like they will literally play out the rest of the game with the chance that at any point in time the banker could just go ahead and say, you know what, that's a great offer. I'll let you keep it, or you throw that away and buy back your way into the game right now and keep playing as if you never stopped. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, and the fact that the UK, I don't know. I mean, people were ripping on the UK for the low production quality because, unlike say, Millionaire, ITV, I think it was really being cheap.
No,
What was that?
Channel 4 is the UK version was on Channel 4, the same channel for Countdown.
They were just really, really, really kind of cheap about it, and like,
well, remember their top prize was a quarter of a million. I think it was like a quarter of £1,000,000.
£250,000. Yeah, they started off at £250,000 and it worked its way back down to 1 pence. Um, but yeah, it still played out the same way. A fewer cases, one less round, and no models. It was just 20. It was essentially played the same way how we had the syndicated version here. There were no models. It's just 26 random people coming in, standing behind a case, and much like the United States version, they didn't really, much like the syndicated version, they never really. Hey, Brian's finally decided to join in,
Yeah.
and
Hey, Brian. Well, I'll let you finish.
yeah,
Oh, good lord. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Google
Okay,
sucks.
so
Yeah.
so Brian, let me get your opinions on these real quick. Paul, real quick on the identity of the banker. Smash or trash on that one?
I'll trash it. I mean, the banker wasn't really an anybody. Like, I think people keep forgetting that the banker was not the one that was actually issuing the offers. That was the producers on the sideline. So it's kind of a no effect on this.
All right, Brian, your take on that? Smash or trash about the banker being revealed on Deal or No Deal?
Well, seeing exactly who it is that was the person was, whoever, and knowing that it was, if correct me if I'm wrong, because again I'm trying to just build off of everything that's been happening tonight before I got here. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a soap
It was a
guy,
soap actor,
correct?
right?
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, we understand that when that was done, there was occasionally there was a voice on the other end of the phone. Okay. All right. And so now we actually know, who the heck that voice was.
Yeah, I give him that.
So I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's a little unusual. I guess not the kind of person that that you would have expected to be. Verbally, that's sort of yuts or whatever. I mean, again, you said about that it was really the producers establishing or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like it could have been somebody more interesting than what it was. So I'm gonna say a mild trash on that one.
I'll say trash as well for the simple fact is I really didn't want to know who the banker was. I'd rather have it be like this mysterious, this all mysterious person who he was. I like that fact that it was a mysterious person. You never knew. You never knew who the.
Let's be completely fair. It's not like that. This news, because I'm just looking up right now, is actually what's revealed last year.
Right.
But
So, Paul, while you're looking that up, let me ask Brian on his take on the other stuff. 500 questions getting a version in British. Smash or trash on that one?
It'll be a smash on one condition. Okay? The only condition that it'll be is with regards to, can they do what we seem to not do here in the States, and that is actually ask 500 questions during the course of the series, at least.
Well,
If they can pull that off, then it'll be a smash. It'll be so much better than ours. And of course, you know that the British do just about all our games better than we do, or at least most of them. So.
And vice versa.
I don't know.
All right. So topic
We'll
number
find
2. All right. Topic number 2 for you is lip sync battle special on September 11th.
I mean, I'm personally.
Scott, wait. Brian,
Yeah,
we
it's
kind of
just-
lost you. There we go.
Yeah, your
Yeah, I'm
camera
still here.
froze up. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Repeat.
I'm so here. Wait, click on my thing so the people can actually
You're
see
good.
me.
You're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 'cause I can see the two of you, but when I'm speaking, I can't see myself.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's what I'm showing.
All right. Yeah, no, because I'm like I said, it's just me learning the system too. But let's see. But like I said, I've been strangely attracted to the lip sync battle setups ever since. And Jimmy Fallon still does them once in a while. I know he did one recently with what was it, Seth Rogen? I think he just did one with a couple weeks ago. I haven't seen it yet. I have to look it up. But it's going to be interesting to see, just like to see all the preparation, live with it, get the costume changes, get all the choreography, and I wonder if anybody's going to actually screw up this time. So it's going to be very intriguing. I look forward to it a great deal.
All right, and the last topic for you on the docket is and I'm sorry if I butchered the name.
Maxim Shmirkovsky.
Yeah. Coming
Okay.
back
Yes. Okay. Yes. I don't know what to make of him because this is now his third time coming back to Dancing with the Stars, because it was like after the All Stars and working with Kirstie Alley again, he left, and then he came back a year or so later as a judge. Only did that one season, and they left again. Something in him seems like in a huff about no, I'm not doing this show anymore, and all of a sudden he's back again. It's just like it's good that he's back, but just for him, for his own celebrity, it's like, dude, make up your mind, okay? Do you want to move on from this, or do you want to hang around? Don't keep jumping back forward. If you need to take a break, if he just said it that way, it would have been totally fine. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. We would have had something else in its place.
Indeed.
Okay, so smash or trash for you, Brian?
So only from his attitude of how he'd handled it leading up to this point, I'm gonna put it on his handling is a trash. The fact that he's back on the show is a smash.
So you're 50-50 on that.
Yeah, there's multiple layers to it.
Okay, so I think that covers everything for smash or trash for tonight. So.
All right, and here, real quick, Scott, before we get started, because like I said, and again, ladies and gentlemen, folks, I don't know what the heck happens with the setup.
I actually had to give Dan my phone number to contact me.
No, I'm aware of everything that was happening, because I know as I was driving, racing through the streets of Jersey or whatever, and Andrew was trying on my phone to try to see if we could help you guys get the original link started. Like I said, I don't know what the heck happened.
The thing is with that, you have to send us the control link. You can't send us the link for the actual show.
No. I'll talk to you guys both about what. I'll talk to you guys both about what happened and what's going to happen after this episode. But for now, let's get back to the show.
Yes.
All right, and moving on to tonight's star topic.
And I think we only have one more time that we're actually using this thing before the system changes.
Right.
And Brian, why don't you bring us into tonight's star topic?
All right. Yes. Okay. So for those people that were with us back in the days of the old game show Talkin' Fun when we were on Blog Talk Radio, we had a lot of shows that we did that were devoted to just classic retrospectives of favorite shows of the past and things like that. And tonight, based on vote from the team, that's what we decided to do tonight to give you an idea of that sort of thing. And the show we picked tonight to do is about the 1990 Dick Clark effort known as the Challengers. All right.
Brian, real quick before you do that, to anyone that's watching this, everyone here at Lost Silver, we want to wish Monty Hall a happy 95th birthday.
We're at 95 already. I missed 94.
Yep, he's 95 according to the post yesterday by Mr. Wink Martindale. So, we just want to send our best wishes out to Monty Hall and.
Okay, I was still stuck on 93, but yes, happy. He's still, I think, out of anybody, he's the oldest. He's the oldest living host, correct?
I think him and Bob are still up there in age.
Oh yeah, because Bob's only going to be 93 in December, so.
Yeah. Just wanted to get that shout out.
Yeah, so Monty's still the elder statesman, so.
Yeah.
All right, we got that covered. Hopefully we'll figure out the rest of this as we go. All right, but let's break everything down from the actual beginning with regards to the challengers. All right, we'll start right at the top with the host itself, Dick Clark. All right, so just in general, going around the table. All right. For you guys, your thoughts with regards to how Dick hosted his style of the whole bit, whatever angle you want to take on this.
He was a master at it. They couldn't have picked a more perfect host to host it.
All right. Well, what made him so good?
His ability to make the contestants feel comfortable and everything, and the ability to explain the rules properly and not be over confused by it, and keep the show moving.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just passing some notes here around as I get this moving.
Because he was just coming off of Pyramid when he went to go do the Challengers, so.
Right, exactly. Let's see, Paul, how was Dick Clark to you with regards to this effort with the Challengers?
I thought Challengers came off, and this is even before I started really mainlining game shows and stuff like that. I really thought it was kind of a Park Jeopardy kind of a feel, but I don't know how or why, but the whole pick your poison kind of aspect to it kind of made it.
Well,
really
we're gonna get to that part in a second. We're gonna get that part in a second. Like I said, we're just first starting off with just Dick's handling of the show.
I generally thought it was well done. It just felt like he was doing another kind of pyramid, more so, because he wasn't really that active, in my opinion, about the show. He just was there, read the questions, and he just kept things moving along. That's about it.
Gotcha. All right, that seems to make sense. And for me, this was knowing that growing up for myself. This was definitely a different element for me with regards to Dick Clark, because knowing that the only thing I knew him from doing previously was doing Pyramid, to see him doing to reading a Q&A kind of show, it was a different feel. I wonder if maybe to a certain extent that might have been a put off to some people, because they weren't so necessarily used to him being as involved in the proceedings as he had to be with the Challengers, versus with Pyramid he was just staying out of everybody's way, because
you're forgetting
celebrities controlled all the action.
Right, and you're also forgetting he was the longest host for American Bandstand as well too.
Okay, but all right, but we all know that. But still even then, the key is he's just there in the here's what's happening next, and then again, even on Bandstand, he's getting out of the way. So in this, though, he has a lot more. He has a lot more involvement. He has more of a leadership role that than otherwise.
Right.
Because I mean, because let's put it this way. It's liken it the same way to what CBS told Bob Barker when they were bringing back The Price is Right. Okay, because Bob initially did not want Price is Right. He wanted to do Gambit, but the brass at CBS told him they said, Gambit's a very good show, but it requires like a traffic cop to host that kind of game, whatever, and you have far more talent. The challengers being a Q&A thing, that's a traffic cop kind of feel. All right, so that was something that maybe audiences, like I said, were not used to seeing from Dick Clark. He did it very well, make no mistake. But again, maybe that difference might have worked against him. So who's to say? All right. So we've covered that. Now getting to what Paul wanted to jump into about the format itself. Now, the first thing we have to acknowledge here is that this format with the challengers, we have to remember the challengers was actually a revival. Okay, because you had the original version of the show back in the 60s, the Who, What, or Where game. Same type of show where you were given a category and there was a who question, a what question, and a where question, and each one had different odds on it, ranging from even odds to 3-1, and each person picked not only the one they wanted to play, but how much of their current score they wanted to wager. So pretty much what you see in the final challenge in the challengers, that was the Who, What, or Where game the whole way through. Pick and wager your score.
Right. Air dates for the Who, What, or Where game premiered December 29th, 1969 and lasted to January 4th, 1974. So,
gotcha. Yeah, and so you can see, it had a very healthy run and things like that. So it's admittedly a little bit of a shame that this revival effort only lasted the 1 year, as did a lot of shows in 1990. But we'll get to that in a second. But now, Paul, here I'll start with you. Like I said, you were starting to discuss in general with regards to this format. Like you said, pick your poison is how you likened it.
Pretty much. It's Jeopardy, but instead of it being pick a category and wager how much you want to wager on it. How about here's a category? Which one of these three do you want to take a shot at? That effectively made a much more different game than what was available, especially towards the latter rounds, the end game round, which was essentially Final Jeopardy, but you get to pick which one you want to answer as opposed to whichever one the producers wanted to give out for the day. I thought that was a kind of a different take on things. I was actually kind of shocked to see that it didn't really last as long as I thought it did, but it was still a good game nonetheless.
All right, and Scott, what say you with regards to it?
in the start, that whole premise of going for the ultimate challenge and everything to gameplay.
Well, we'll get to that piece in a second.
The gameplay I thought was solid because when you picked your category, you didn't know what the other two contestants were going to pick. So it was like a little bit of that whole kind of prisoner's dilemma type thing.
Oh, now wait a minute. Now, how do you liken that to the prisoner's dilemma, though? Because that's something entirely different.
Right. I'm going to explain my reason behind. But it's like if I
you mean devil's advocate?
Yeah. It's
I think that, even though that's a little bit of a reach, I think that might be a better term. Yeah, because prisoner's dilemma is something way different with.
Yeah. But it was like, if I choose this, is my opponent going to choose that same category, or are they going to choose something else for that? So it was kind of like the whole secrecy of which category do I choose. Kind of like I think they kind of like borrowed that idea from like the long shot from Wu, basically.
Okay. I'm
I'll
trying
put
to
into
I'm
the.
trying to see how the angles that you're taking with this stuff or whatever. It's a little a little unusual there. I have
But
to.
the whole idea also with the gameplay of involving current events, I thought was interesting too.
Okay. So yeah, all right. That's something, yes, that we definitely have to bring into account because that comes into the next thing. Because we already said, as Paul said before, the show had a Jeopardy likeness to it and things like that in the first place. But the one key difference in the material is that while the Challenger still had its standard trivia, the one thing that set it apart was that every week of shows was taped for the challengers the previous Saturday before that week's set was to air. And part of the reason for doing that was that there were always a number of categories. There were always at least one to three categories per show that always focus on current events. And for those questions, they borrowed from the pages straight from Newsweek magazine. I would also probably imagine that some questions when it related to like either TV or movies or something like that, I'm probably sure there were other publications that were used as well. But Newsweek was
Uh,
the only one acknowledged on the air. But I wouldn't be
well,
surprised if TV Guide was used for some questions.
well,
Maybe Entertainment Weekly.
one that I could think of also probably Variety. That's the big showbiz newspaper.
Maybe, perhaps. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but most cases, yeah, that Newsweek was the major one, acknowledged. And so, Scott, in your opinion, though, okay, do you what do you think of the general idea of incorporating those current events and knowing that you have that now feel to the
it,
show?
it it kept the show fresh, it kept the show current, and it made the contestants think like, what was going on in the in that year or that week or whenever, you know. It made them had to stay more up to date and current on things. Unlike with Jeopardy, it was like, yeah, I'll take, where it was just like the same stale old categories. No offense to Jeopardy fans, but it was more or less, you know, they had to keep up to date on what was going on in the world and everything.
Gotcha. And Paul, what do you think about that?
In regards to,
Like I said, the having the current events element being a constant factor in the show.
I generally didn't, and I'm sorry to say this, but I generally did not care for it that much, like as some people would. I get that it was a driving factor of the game, but even from the guy behind the scenes, I'm over here thinking, so what happens if something changes and it makes this completely irrelevant by the next week? It seemed more of a hindrance to the show as to, I get that every single show was advertised with the date being announced in the background. Like I remember one of the monitors behind Dick was always read today's date on the screen. It was just made things a little bit like kind of wonky, especially when you start seeing that recurring theme of this is a category based on what happened today. Um,
Or at least this week, because again,
or at least
remember
this week,
the
yeah.
shows were taped the Saturday before that particular week. So
Right, so that's why I really didn't really care for it that much. I mean, I get that it's a nice little kink, or a little quirk to it, but I just personally never really cared for it that much.
I see. Whoever. Well, I'll also say this, and I think and you can stop me if I'm wrong, Paul. All right, because we know that for us, for the three of us in doing our convention game shows, and for those of you who don't follow the anime side of our operation or whatever, the shows that we do for anime conventions. The Challengers is a part of our part of our rotation. As a matter of fact, last weekend we just did that, and all of our non-celebrity games we did those on at Liberty City Anime Con, the city. And for us, we try to take a similar approach with regards to the to the current events. Obviously, since Newsweek's not going to make sense to get anime and video game news from, we use Anime News Network for our occasional sources and things like that. And we're always I think probably this is the one game out of all of our rotation that it's getting there. It's getting closer. I just wonder sometimes if it still feels a little hit or miss, and that's especially in the the current events category. I mean, I tried to remind the audience before we played. Go visit the website and just like skim through the articles a little bit before we get the action going. But we'll get the So Paul, would it be safe to say that maybe because we haven't totally gotten that piece of the game to work the way it should ourselves, that you think maybe it's jaded you on when they did it back then?
More or less, kind of. It was just one of those things that I looked at and went, as a kid watching this, I never really, I never really picked up on it. Me being me now, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant, and now I see what that kind of thing was. I just go, to me personally, it still was a great show with or without this. I was just gonna summarize it up with that. Like, even if the current events round wasn't a thing, like even if it wasn't mentioned, they could have still gone on ahead and still said that all the articles and so forth were still verified by Newsweek magazine or whatever local newspapers from the headlines, because back in those days, internet was just non-existent. But it still was that it was still a good show with or without that segment. It's not like game breaking, as in it's not game breaking like taking out the final Jeopardy round from Jeopardy. They could have left that whole thing out, but still, it was still a great thing nonetheless.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm just getting a message here. Yes, Scott, make sure you're not breathing too heavy into your microphone.
Sorry.
No.
No. I apologize. Come and defy.
Don't worry. Hey, we've had enough wackiness in terms of trying to get this all to go properly tonight. So like I said, live podcasting, folks. We're figuring this all out. And we're still alone at the moment, right?
Yeah.
I've been no. I'm just saying no. I've been away from the screen for a little bit. I'm still looking at you, but I haven't seen
Paul's taking care of the show.
Gotcha. Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody. Our silent man in the booth is saying here. But anyway, okay. Now, as we go further with this, now one thing though that does need to be said with regards to the Challengers over the course of its year run, and this is always something that needs to be addressed with any show that exists whatsoever. When you have a circumstance where, if in the early goings of the show there's a certain element of the game that is not working properly, and they decide, uh-oh, here comes Joey. Here we go. Yes, I know. All right, I'm going to say this quick. When there's certain elements of the game that are seen as not working properly, and they decide early in the run to change elements of the game and elements of the format, and the Challengers did this several times. Okay, the first major piece of the game that they chose to change was with regards to the Ultimate Challenge. Now, let's discuss first the way the Ultimate Challenge originally existed. The rule was that anytime a person won 3 straight games, then what they did was at the top of the very next show, they had that person play a special category where if they could get 3 questions right within that category of their choosing, because they let them choose from 2, then they could win a progressive jackpot before the next match started. All right. So first, Scott, in its original incarnation, what did you think of that Ultimate Challenge format?
It was interesting. I just think
And you keep talking for a second. I'm just gonna let Joey bring it back.
that they shouldn't have done it at the top of the following show. That they should have done it at the conclusion of that show if that person won it. Because like you said, in with us talking about it for our show, that it takes away from the gameplay of the following show. So in conclusion of that, if they knew that that person was going to win, then they should have had it at the top of that show where he won the where he won his 3rd game.
Well, wait. How do you figure? I'm a little
Because
lost.
like what you said with it, by having it at the top of the following show, it cuts away from gameplay.
Right. Yeah. We've talked about that before. You're right.
Yeah. So in my conclusion, it should have happened at the conclusion of the show where said contestant won his 3rd straight game.
I think that the only problem with doing it at the end of the show is much akin to how the $100,000 pyramid of today can't do the tiebreaker additional round like Dick Clark and GSN's pyramid did. Is because of time. You have to remember how much time goes into going through what was it, round 1, round 2, the first commercial, the commercial break before the final category, and then deciding the result of that final category. So all that takes time. Plus, there's also the plug of who the upcoming sponsors were for the episode. That Jeopardy does after they say, "Oh, promotional consideration provided by blah 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 blah."
Mm.
They have to. They have that's something that they have to do. So trying to squeeze in after all of that one final 3-question run was damn near impossible for syndicated television to do, mind you. This is live television, that would be a different story. But syndication, no, you got a time limit of 30 minutes and, 24 minutes, 24 minutes, and it has to fit within that time frame. Otherwise, the networks won't really air it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you have to think about it. I could give a further example, to that. I mean, now, granted, when we go to do this for our own thing, if we in our anime operation do this game frequently enough and somehow manage to get somebody to, because we're going to try to do the 3 in a row rule ourselves. And the thing is, if we get somebody to win the 3rd in a row, and we'll have the Ultimate Challenge prepared right then for them to go on the spot. The problem why you couldn't do it in the actual one, to actually put it in at the end of the show, think of it from this perspective. I know from seeing back in the late 70s. I'm sure you guys have both seen there was an episode from Chuck Woolery's Wheel of Fortune where they had for a brief tenure there was a thing they put on the wheel called the star bonus. Did either of you see that?
I'm unfamiliar with it.
I saw it kind of briefly in some videos and Wikipedia articles, but yeah, it was.
Okay. Let me explain the general premise of it, okay? Because it fits in with this. The idea behind it was you had this, because back in Woolery's day there was no bonus round in the game like there is now, okay? But this star bonus card acted like a bonus round if somebody was able to land on that particular wedge during the course of the game. They would play out the game as normal, but if somebody hit the bonus, they would have to reserve a portion of time at the end of the show for the person to play for, you know, whichever of the 4 bonus prizes that they wanted to do. In the one video that's out there, that was Scott Hostetler, the Uber, you know, game show everywhere man, that was you know, did that. And he sent me those episodes first. That's why you see it on YouTube. But the thing was, in that episode where he hits the star bonus, what you'll notice is that everything else in the game suddenly becomes extremely rushed. Like, you'll even see, just start from the beginning and look at the contestant intros, and they're suddenly like less than half of the length of time that you would normally see them happen within a particular episode. So it's like, already just from that, you could tell that something was up. The challengers, just give me one second.
Brian, hold on. Oh, I want to go on with that. There was one episode of Press Your Luck where they did that. They cut out the contestant intros and everything.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, Press Your Luck had the same kind of problem on occasion, where if there was a game that ran a little longer than it usually did, and it did happen every once in a while, that they had to try to, you know, cram it down a little bit because they could still fit in a half hour, but they had to do a little bit of chopping. The famous Ramsey Lori Kathy episode with the $30,000 spin battle, that was one of those examples. But it's
the other one was where the guy won like a whole bunch of prizes.
Okay, no, right, you're all that. But again, the point here is that in the challengers case, that would have logistically, you know, been a nightmare, because what you're basically saying is, if you've got a guy coming into his 3rd game, all right, so which means if he wins today's game, he plays for the ultimate challenge. All right, if you're trying to anticipate that he's going to win, you know, so that you could leave time reserved at the end of the show for the ultimate challenge to happen immediately if he wins that 3rd game, that means you've already got to cut the game ahead of time, that you're very short, you know, and make sure that that the final challenge is done with a segment left to go. And then what happens if the champ doesn't win? Then you've got this extra segment of the show. You basically got 5 minutes of dead air. What are you supposed to do with it?
True.
Exactly.
So that's why you couldn't anticipate something like that with the ultimate challenge. But now that said, that ultimately, after a few months of doing it that way, that's what ultimately then led to the second ultimate challenge format, which was that they did play it at the end of the show every single day with that day's champion. They did it the same way, where it was just for a flat $10,000, you know, every day. But they did it that way, where they played a truncated game, you know, with the first, second round, the ultimate challenge, and then they made sure the last segment was always devoted to the ultimate. So now my question then here, Scott, first start with you, and we'll get Charles in just a second. Was doing it this way, did it seem like a better fit to do it that way instead?
I've never seen any of the episodes where that.
I don't think there's any episodes on YouTube of it in that style. But that was the way that they changed it. But just from an outsider's perspective, just, you know, reading that idea on paper, do you think that it was a better fit to do it that way?
No.
Okay, what for you doesn't make it work?
Because you're already shortening the game itself. You're shortening the format of the game, where the contestants could earn more money outside of that $10,000 before going into the ultimate challenge. You're taking money away from. You're taking more questions away from the game and everything.
All right, okay, and there's going to be a piece of that element that we're going to talk about too, because even that changed. But we'll get to that in a moment. Paul, how about you?
In regards to which change you said?
The idea of instead where they changed the rule of the ultimate challenge to instead of doing it at the top of the next show once a person won 3 straight games, they just did it at the end of in the ends of every show for a flat 10,000.
No, I'd rather it be the coming attraction to get people to come back and see the person win have a chance to win the 10,000, as opposed to at the end of the show. Oh well, he already lost the 10,000, so there's no point for you to come back and watch him win again. No, you have the person come back at the start of the show, like before we bring out your next contestant. Let's play the ultimate challenge right now for $10,000. You want people to come back and watch it. This is what made the $100,000 pyramid tournaments such a huge draw. You could go ahead and skip the entire pyramid. You go ahead and skip the preliminaries and then come back for the finals and go, oh, it's somebody's about to win $100,000. This is kind of what makes games like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of a broken format here in the United States. You can pretty much just go ahead and skip through the preliminaries and just wait for the person to come back and hear Chris Harrison go, today, one person's now 3 questions away from winning $1 million. Will they be able to do it? Like that's what television segment producers want to do. They want draws. They want something that gets people to come back. This is why when you watch Wheel of Fortune now, if somebody is even remotely close to hitting the $1 million wedge, you'll see that being promoted as throughout the entire segments leading up to the eventual airing of the program. Hey, somebody's about to win $1 million on this program, even though the chances of that happening are really, really like slim. It could be a person landed on a $1 million wedge, collected a $1 million wedge, and then just doesn't win. You know, we don't know that. The only way how you know that is because you see somebody land on a $1 million wedge, and now we have to figure out, are they going to do it? So I'm perfectly fine with the the $10,000 Ultimate Challenge being aired at the start of the subsequent program. So that way, say Friday, you know, okay, well Scott won his third in a row. Come back Monday to see him play for $10,000. Like that to me would get me to watch that episode a bit more.
Wait, I'm going for I'm playing for $10,000 on Monday.
See?
And already with the in jokes here. Here, guys, real quick, do me a favor. Here, wait. Paul Scott, real fast. I'll get to you in a second, Charles. Paul Scott, here, wait. Who's on Master Control here right now?
I'm on Master Control.
Okay, Paul, do me a favor. Just make sure. Keep in the bottom right corner with all of our boxes.
Yep.
Just make sure whoever's speaking at any given moment, so it doesn't accidentally jump on one of our other cameras. Just keep the box clicked.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah, no, I just want to make sure, because occasionally I was seeing like, Charles or Scott's box flipping in while you were in the middle of talking.
Yeah,
so.
don't worry, it's always on me. I'm literally doing all of the switching here.
Okay, all right, I guess, not being at the control myself, I guess I'm just seeing it a little differently.
Right.
Okay. All right, so no, I just want to make sure we got that clear. All right, in any event, now let's bring Charles Berman in, because I see while we were discussing that element, he was in there. So, Charles, you in there all right?
I'm here, bro.
With your very bright ceiling light there?
Yeah, I'm back in my house. Yeah, back in my house in Houston.
I assume if you turn that light off, it's gonna be very tough to see you.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay.
It's
well.
not horrible bad. It's not horrible bad.
Purple lighting.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure we don't blind our audience here, whatever audience we have for this show right now. Granted, we'd like to be able to see you too. You got all right, but anyway, here we'll figure out if you got a flashlight or something as we go to the next question. But first, just to get you in on the current question, for the challengers, the changing of the rule to from the 3-day rule, do it at the top of next show, to just play for 10,000 every day at the end of the show. Your thoughts on that change? Was it better? Was it better the new way or better the old way?
Old school way be better. I like the old way because it's a lot more fun than actually watching it.
Say it again. I'm sorry, I missed that a little bit.
I like the older way, 'cause, that's how I started watching the show. That's how I started.
All right, seems fair enough there. Okay, now I forget if it was Scott or Paul that mentioned this a second ago, because there was another thing, of course, that changed along the way as the Ultimate Challenge rule changed. There was another piece of the game that changed also. Actually, two other pieces. Initially, when the
Real
show
quick,
began.
Charles, put your light back on.
Okay, wait. Yeah, no, wait, because we had a face for you a second ago.
Yeah. No,
Ah!
Dan wants the light on. Dan says, "Let there be light."
Okay. Okay. Now you've got the angle correct, Charles.
There we
Okay.
go.
Now it looks nice.
And
Yeah.
now back to Brian with the weather.
Sure, why not? Okay. All right. Now, like I said, the Ultimate Challenge, though, was not the only part of the game that changed, because around the time that they initially changed the Ultimate Challenge rule, they changed a couple of other the other two key elements of the game as well. The first regarding the Challenger Sprint, the 1 minute rapid fire round that started every game. At first, when they changed the Ultimate Challenge rule, they took away the sprint and they just did a single question toss-up to determine who would start the game. Again, I would probably guess the imagination of that was they wanted to save time and be able to get more categories in now that they know that they had the Ultimate Challenge at the end of every single thing. All right, so Scott, in your opinion, when they just went from the sprint to a single question in lieu of changing the Ultimate Challenge, was that a good or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
Okay.
Because with the sprint, you could get more questions in under that minute. More money can be earned by the contestants and everything, and it really made it like a battle to see who was going to actually start the game off and pick the first subject and everything.
All right.
So in my band, it was more of a race to see who could rack up the most in that 1 minute to determine who was going to start. So it brought more money into the game, basically.
All right. Seems fair. Seems fair enough there. Okay. So, but you didn't like when they made it a single question.
Nah, I don't like single question toss-ups. I didn't like that when they did on deck when they made that toss-up question worth $1.
Oh, okay. When they did that, they instead of just saying whoever had the lowest stat in reality is the one who picks first.
Right.
I was actually fine with the $1 toss up because I get
Well,
that.
Paul, that's not the subject. The subject was about them getting rid of the Challenger Sprint.
No, Challenger Sprint getting rid of. I was generally okay with that as long as you had a decent toss up because not all games need that opening round. Like no, other than Debt and Challengers, I can't really think off the top of my head what game starts off as a toss up. Well, besides Wheel of Fortune right now, but that's another story.
Trivial Pursuit, I think. No.
Trivial Pursuit was always played to the buzzer.
Right. Round 3 started with a toss-up question, I'm thinking of.
Right, but that was more along the lines of, okay, you now, Trivial Pursuit and Russian Roulette, because those games actually inherently had a, hey, whoever gets this question correct controls the round and gets to force the question onto their opponent. That's the only time in which I'll go ahead and say, yeah, you do need a toss-up question because you literally have the advantage at the start of the round. Debts and Challengers is toss-up rounds, aka, okay, whoever gets this right gets control. I'm like, you can remove that because it literally slowed down play a little bit, especially when you get to the tiebreaker situation. Like, for example, this past weekend when we did the show, I literally had to get told the rule of wait, before we start that round, we need to break this tie. Like, wait, why do we need to break the tie? Like, oh, we have to break the tie. Oh, okay, I didn't even know that. Like that. Like,
oh, you mean when we played this past weekend? Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, yeah.
So wait,
minor spoiler, folks, for when we do get to that video.
Right.
Well, wait. Someone want to explain that to me? Like, what would you do in case of a tie?
So at the end of the Challengers round, at the end of the Challengers sprint, if there are two players that have a tie, that according to the rules of the game, that can't stand. You have to have a person in the lead so they can go ahead and get the first pick of the category.
Right.
So you add one additional category during the challenger sprint for the same value. I think it's a $100 toss up pretty much between the two players that are tied. Whoever gets it right, gets the 100. Whoever gets it wrong, you lose the 100. And you pretty much lose the advantage.
Yeah. There has to be a clear leader at the ends of the sprint. So, and if anything, like I said, that may have been, if by doing a single question, okay, yeah, you're definitely guaranteed, that you're gonna have some, somebody in the lead, provided that only, like I said, the only scenario where you're gonna ask a question and you're not gonna have a leader after it is if either nobody buzzes in on that question or if only one person buzzes in, tries it, and gets it wrong. And then you have to resolve the still tied people or whatever. Again, the basic idea was by shortening it, you left more time to do an extra a category or two that you knew you were losing in this new format. But it was understandable to see why it wasn't popular, and then why ultimately the sprint was put back. Now, Charles, what about you in your case? With regards to eliminating the sprint and doing this the single questions, did you prefer your challengers with sprint or without sprint?
I preferred it with the sprint, so it actually makes it more amazing.
Okay. Anything more you'd like to add to that? You're very brief on your answers tonight, Charles.
Yeah. Well, it's just because when I watched your version on the old version of when you guys did it, and plus I watched some old episodes as well, it kind of makes more challenging, more
Well, I'll say this: it's never easy for us to come up with the questions for things like that. Yeah, it's a challenge for us, if you'll pardon the pun. But we're still working on it. We will never give up. So that's for sure there.
And next Brian will do tea time movies.
You and your reaches, Scott. You're still doing it. All right. Well, in any event,
that's what makes me.
Now, at the same time that all this was going on, okay, one other element did change with the game, and this one particular change did last for the rest of the entire run of the show. At the same time that the sprint round was initially eliminated, at the time that the Ultimate Challenge was changed to be at the ends of every show, they also decided around that same point to also take the money values in the main game and to knock them down a peg. Originally, rounds one was the questions were worth 150, 200, and 250, and then double that in round two at 300, 400, 500. When they first changed the format, they knocked those values down by 50 and 100. So now rounds one was 152, and the second round was 2, 3, 4. So now, my question now is, well, first of all, may I assume correctly across the board with all you guys that to pare the money down like that, I assume nobody's a fan of that, yes?
No. And you
Not
know how
really.
I feel about our press.
What?
With that.
That's another story entirely. Okay.
Right. I'm just putting it. I'm
hold
using
on
it.
that. Okay. All right.
I'm using it as an example.
Okay, but yeah, that's a way different example in that circumstance than this thing. But then the question though that I want to try to figure out. Okay, and if hopefully David's listening, if he's got an insight on that, or if our silent man in the booth does too, just to try to figure out why would they reduce the numbers. So like Scott, in your opinion, why do you think they felt that knocking those numbers down was such a necessity?
Maybe because they're playing for this flat 10,000, or there could have been some other reasons, production-wise. maybe sponsors weren't signing up for the show. There could have been more than enough reason. There could have been a number of reasons why that was happening.
Money for the show generally comes from advertising revenue and syndication licensing rights. So at that time, when he knocked back the pricing, the only thing that I could think of is the fact that the show wasn't the producers were literally running out of ad revenue to give out to people. So it literally came to the sense of we still want to do this, so we have to back it back down a little bit.
To make it more lucrative to them.
Right.
All right. Charles, you have an opinion on this, or you back the way they're describing it, or?
And I'm really busy. That's what I've been doing tonight. I've been really busy
tonight. Don't worry about it. Hey, like I said, no. Remember, you gotta know what it was from when you don't know my story coming into tonight, or maybe you do. We'll find out. I'll tell you afterward.
All right, cool.
But
anyway,
like I said, but in general, like I said, you were not a fan either, Charles, of when they scaled down the numbers like that.
Yeah, it was just boring to me.
Huh?
It was just boring to me after they scaled down everything, and the challengers like, what the heck were they thinking?
Well, wait, what makes reducing the numbers boring to you?
With more numbers, I feel more exciting, like more challenges, like how it is on Whammy and all that stuff, on Press Your Luck and on Wheel of Fortune, more numbers, more challenging, everything can be more challenging after that. Just my opinion.
I kind of have to disagree with that in the sense that the money doesn't really imply anything much. Like we mentioned a couple minutes ago, Deal or No Deal United Kingdom versus Deal or No Deal United States. Deal or No Deal UK was giving out top prize of $250,000 tops. Never went higher than that. Here in the U.S., we give out $1 million, $2 million, and then just god awful. We attempted it and nobody won it, but that doesn't necessarily entice that. It's going to show that more people will want to see a person win multiple millions of dollars, but at the same time, it's still the same gameplay as it was. It wouldn't be that much different than, let's just say that there wasn't like an inflation rate that we do right now, and Price Right was still giving out $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 cars. So if a car was still $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, that's something that not everybody's still going to get. So the moment that you see somebody winning that $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 car, that will still be something exciting to see on television. So it's not the sense that more money was not being won. It's just I can't see it. I can't see as not winning more money is not going to be as exciting. No, the fact that a person is literally doing hot nothing is on television right now, answering a few general knowledge questions, is getting paid for it. That's the exciting thing about it.
And the fact to play at home too.
Yeah, well, understand the knocking down the numbers. I mean, it doesn't change the core of the game itself. It doesn't affect the playability. If any, like I said, the only thing it does is just you're playing with usually smaller numbers or whatever the case happens to be. I mean, granted, yeah, we do have a tendency, especially here in this country, that we're of the logic that bigger payouts makes it more exciting, and sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's not. I mean, you always want to make sure that any given game show has like the right proper level that it's supposed to be playing for, because like
the right balance is what you're trying to find.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you want the right elements. Yeah, because and then figuring out the payout of the game should really come second, because obviously you can't play every game that exists for $1 million. So like you can't play the challengers for $1 million all the time. You can't play Jeopardy all the time for $1 million. You can't play Price is Right all the time for $1 million and things like that. So you have every game has its figure that it's like for the task that is set in front of you, it's a question of saying, oh, okay, for the person that succeeds at the end of the day and does what they're supposed to do right, what's really a justified what's really a justified payday for them, or what should be a top prize if you had to roughly figure it out, So that's really what is that you're looking for. So from that perspective, knocking down the numbers doesn't hurt me in looking at the challengers as much, because I'll still play the game the same way and still try to make as much out of it as it possibly can. And really, a lot of people still did. All right, so that's the way they did. And ultimately, by the time everything was said and done, when, like I said, the first change with the 10,000 Ultimate Challenge and the single question, that only lasted probably maybe a month that they did that. And then by that point, they just eliminated the Ultimate Challenge altogether, which now they put the sprint back, they played the full game, and just whoever won, come back the next day, and so on like that. So
Question, Brian.
Go ahead.
Was it at that point in the time where they actually started also changing the way that the money was paid out, like with the Citibank stuff? Because I know Citibank was a big sponsor with the show too.
It was a sponsor throughout the entire run. I'm going to get to that part in a second or whatever.
And we do have a new person. We do have Josh in the.
Oh, hey, Josh is here. Okay, again, I'm keeping an eye on our Facebook instructions and occasional chime-ins over there. So I'm looking at that. So hey, Josh rooting way up in Alaska there. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. I'm coming to you live from Alaska. Forgive me if I'm lagging out, because internet is buggy because it's moving day here on campus. So it's good to see everyone here.
Moving day, where are you? Where are you at up there? Moving day where?
Moving day at the University of Alaska Anchorage.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you mean like campus or something. I thought you meant in terms of school or whatever the case is. All right, but in any event, all right. Here we'll get you into we'll get you into the mix here in just a second here. But as I was starting to say here, but like I said, now we get to format 3, which was now we put the sprint back. The Ultimate Challenge is gone altogether, and now we just play the straight game. No other frills, and just the person who wins just keeps coming back until they lose and stuff like that. So let me ask this, all right? And Scott, here I'll start with you. Was getting rid of the Ultimate Challenge probably the best thing that the show could have done?
Yes.
And for what reason?
Well, it kind of got rid of that progressive jackpot that they always said that at the top of the show back when the Ultimate Challenge was started and everything. So it kind of lost like that little bit of like, so-and-so is here and is one step closer to winning a possible $65,000 Ultimate Challenge. It kind of got it. When they introduced that and they said how much the Ultimate Challenge was at that time, it was like that's what made the show suspenseful and everything. But when they kind of got rid of it, it kind of dropped the suspense of that. To see, will this person win again and move one step closer to winning the progressive jackpot for that show?
Okay, now you sound like you're changing your answer here. Wait, because you said, at first you said it was a good thing that they dropped the Ultimate Challenge, but the way you're talking sounds like it was a bad thing.
Well, 50-50 in a way.
All right.
Well, when the show first...
Paul, what say you?
Well, all right.
In regards to which way, losing the Ultimate Challenge,
just dropping the Ultimate Challenge altogether and just playing the game straight.
I kind of, okay, so if I remember right, Challenges isn't like today's syndicated game shows where episodes can be aired out of order. So I really didn't see any logistical reason for removing the Ultimate Challenge, it really didn't, help the gameplay. I can tell you that much right now. Sure, we get to add in about 4 or 5, additional main round questions or 4 or 5 additional challenger sprint questions, but there was really like no need to get rid of it. I was actually kind of upset when I later on discovered that it was removed permanently. I'm like, you didn't have to. That was like one of the main billing attractions to see somebody win that huge stack of cash on top of what they already won. So no, I really was kind of I was really kind of upset and disappointed when they did in fact remove it out.
All right. So, all right. Okay. Let me see. Charles, what about you? Better that they got rid of the Ultimate Challenge altogether, or should they have still found a way to save it? Charles, you there, buddy?
Well, I'm here. I'm sorry, my computer's acting dumb
Don't
tonight.
worry about it. I just want to make sure you're here.
Well, to your answer now, the Ultimate Challenge being phased out,
That's the question.
I think it hurt the game big time. I think it hurt the game big time. It's like, no Ultimate Challenge? Really? It's kind of dumb. Like,
Okay.
What the heck were they thinking? Trying to kill the series?
Okay, and I think I see the theme that's happening here. However, first, Josh, in your case, are you also in agreement that you didn't like them getting rid of the Ultimate Challenge altogether?
Well, here's my thinking. Here's my ideas and all that. I think the Ultimate Challenge was a great idea, but for the pacing of the show, I preferred not them having the Ultimate Challenge. I prefer them when they were able to get through all the categories in the main game to lead up to that final one. However, I think there should have been some sort of just compensation or reward for someone who had been on the show for 2, 3, 4 days to give them a chance to play for an extra question worth 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and let them get more money. That's what I would have preferred.
Okay, all right. And that goes back again to the first format. Okay, but all right. Let me ask you this. Do you guys think, and if anybody disagrees, throw it out there. Do you think then that perhaps by getting rid of the Ultimate Challenge, do you think then that overall made the show too Jeopardy-like?
Yes.
No.
Okay,
I'm saying no.
Okay,
no.
Why do you say no, Josh?
Because in a strict format of how the game is played, if we're looking at strict format, it's a totally different game than Jeopardy. But I really liked it to where you could have people going head-to-head against each other on some questions, and you have just single people answering single questions all the time. I like that it was a diverse way of how questions are run, and also it's not Jeopardy. It is a different show altogether. It's not the answer question format.
I would seriously love to see back in the day, Merv Griffin Enterprises try to sue the makers of the challenges just to see, kind of the same way how they sued Dead. I would love to see that lawsuit attempt to be made just for it to get shot down.
That's it. That's interesting. That it came back with debt years later, but and again that was over the style of questioning that they did. But like I said, obviously that's another story altogether. But interesting how the layering of the challengers was never called in question. But then again, I don't think you could call the layering of the challenges with having a round 1, a round 2, and then a final drama round to decide the big winner. I don't really think you could call that into question because a lot of game shows have that sort of setup. Right. Jeopardy doesn't have and I'm going to borrow one of your terms, Scott. Jeopardy doesn't have the monopoly on that type of style. True?
True.
Okay, yeah, I'm borrowing one of your terms because with the conversations that we've always had for weeks and months off the air about one of our dear friends in the anime game show world. All right, and we'll leave it at that. Okay, but regardless of all this, okay, there are two things that no matter what else about the show that they changed in the format. There are two things that the challengers always kept in place throughout the entire show, and that was that number one, champions long before Jeopardy did it and Ken Jennings came along or whatever. Challengers, you stayed until you were beaten. You could run up a string of 6, 7, 8 wins, and I know at least one person did. And the other thing was that, like the original Jeopardy, everybody kept their winnings. Everybody was automatically given, like they always said, everybody was always given their own Citibank account. Originally it was just Visa, but then, as you started to say, Scott, partway through the run, they allowed Citibank MasterCard accounts to be made too. So it was whatever the contestant chose. But that didn't change change the core.
The reason I brought that up is because I was listening back on Tilla's old episodes over on Game Show Temple Live, where he was talking with a former contestant, and the contestant that was being interviewed or was talking about it was actually brought that up, where they changed the format of how the money was paid out during his tenure as champion.
Right. Well, the idea was, they gave you that choice of whether you wanted the Visa version, the MasterCard version, but they still paid out the money the same way. Whatever you finished the game with, that's what went into your chosen account. And as they said, you could do whatever you want with the money. You could convert it into cash, save it, whatever the choice was for you. But those two elements of everybody gets paid and stay on until you're beaten, those stayed throughout the whole thing. And at the time, given the way Jeopardy was at that moment, that those two elements were different. Okay. And Paul, do you think that it was good that they had it different that way to separate it from Jeopardy, or should they have done it more like Jeopardy and only paid the winner or whatever?
Okay, so this is kind of a two-edged sword. So you could go on ahead and only pay the winner, and the money that would have been left over from only paying the winner could have probably led up to not having the money amounts changed in the later part of the season. So that's one argument. The other argument is you don't want. One of the things that looking at some of the other game shows I look at, I'm looking at Millionaire Hot Seat, and I'm like, you kind of don't want to have a person go the distance, get a question wrong, get eliminated from contention, and then they get nothing. Like, you never want to have a contestant come through, put themselves up to be exploited, because technically speaking, you sign a release whenever you go appear on any kind of television show, and just get absolutely nothing, just get absolutely used, because then nobody's going to want to try out. So you have, and I'm sorry, but those bumpers that you say, hey, contestants not appearing on stage will receive blah, 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 that's not going to cut it, because you took time out of your day, you took time out from your job to go ahead and come down here to this television studio, and now, because you played someone, you did great throughout the entire show, but because you put up $1 more, you get nothing now. Like, you kind of can't do that. At the same time, they could have gone on ahead and did the other Jeopardy route, which is first place will receive this, second place will receive first place will receive their score, second place will receive $2,000 or $200 back in those days, because $200 now is like crap, and third place will receive $1,100, whatever. But you can go about it that way, and again, that still presents a situation of that still presents a situation of you now have money, to go ahead and put back into the show, and maybe survive as long as Jeopardy would have. But it's really hard to say. It's one of those, you can do it, but you might screw yourself up in the long run.
So it's like one of those things where damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Literally.
Maybe, perhaps, however. Charles, any spin you want to put on this idea?
Well, if they were going to reboot it, I feel like the Slim Jim right here. Yeah, snap into it like this. They really
we're getting very weird.
They really need to do a lot more work on this.
But all right, but but all in all, though, do you like first, Charles, that they kept the do you like first that they decided to just let you keep playing until they're winning? No set limit as champion.
Yeah, I like that. That's like how they do it on Jeopardy nowadays.
That's the thing. Do you all right? Well, let's put it in Jeopardy perspective. Do you like that on Jeopardy now that they do it that way now versus the 5 day limit?
Yes, I like that. Even my wife likes it like that.
Okay,
But she kicks my
what
butt.
do you think makes that way work better?
Well, they get to play for more money. If they lose what they keep what they got until they lose.
Okay, all right. Josh, what about in your case? Between the unlimited champion rule and the way of everybody getting paid, or which parts are you for or against with that?
Here's my thoughts. My thoughts are very simple. Is that back when the show aired, 1990-91, it was more or less revolutionary to have a returning champion to where they can win as much money as they possibly could. I think that was a great thing that they did. It separated them from Jeopardy. And also, everyone getting paid, I'm kind of like, I'm a little torn on that one just because it's like, if you damned if you are, you're damned if you don't. But I'm like, if everyone does get paid, then that's great. Everyone gets paid. But if they don't and they get like a consolation amount, I'm fine with that too. So I'm like, yeah, I'm glad about the returning champion. I'm not so much about everyone getting paid. But again, it was revolutionary for that particular show at that time in history. So I say kudos to the challenge for doing that.
That seems fair. I think probably what some of you guys were saying with regards to, okay, maybe establishing an automatic plateau for the other two people. Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be an exact science about it because like we said, the idea of everybody getting paid. Jeopardy used to do that in the old day. That was in the original Art Fleming era that everybody got paid. And I remember the original book that the producers of Jeopardy wrote, just telling like the history of the show and things like that. The producers, I think, told a story that from back in the Art Fleming day, there was one person who went on the show, and his intent was he wanted to make sure he won enough money to buy an engagement ring. And now we never saw anybody of the challengers do this, but the theory is there that somebody could have easily done this, that they didn't come with the intention to win. They came just to make sure they earned as much money as they set out to do. So what this guy did on Jeopardy was he played the game, he was playing it straight the whole way through, but then he got to a point that as soon as he knew that his score was enough to get the engagement ring that he wanted, he basically put his buzzer down and shut up the whole rest of the show so that he wouldn't lose the money. And so, as a result, he lost the game, but he still got paid what his score was. So, in which case, he was able to go out, get the ring, propose, and from what I understand from the story, obviously the girl said yes, and everything was all happy endings from there. Now, that could have easily happened on the challengers too, that somebody could have come in with that intention. I don't think I ever remember anybody doing that. Everybody, played it straight and played to win the whole way through. But that could have easily been a visual, disaster if somebody actually, do that. Could any of you picture the nightmare that would have existed if somebody actually, had done that on the challengers, or maybe
this is all I have to say if that happened.
No words needed, huh?
I will say this: if that were to happen on the challengers, if that was to actually have happened, for one, I wouldn't have known about it until now because I wasn't alive when the challengers was on the air. And second of all, I'm like, wait a second, this seems fishy. And they could honestly, because unless standards of practice has changed from how they were originally, if the episode doesn't air, they don't have to pay your money out.
Well, okay, I understand where you're going with it, but I mean, it's like in the case of this one guy from back in Jeopardy, it's like it wasn't necessarily anything against the rules of the game. That was just a loophole that he exploited. Nobody asked him to stop playing. He just chose to do it himself. So there's no scandal involved like the quiz show riggings. That he did what he did by his own volition. But be that as it may. All right, so here, real quick, because we only got a couple of minutes left. Just in if anybody that wants to throw it out there, yeah, because we only got 5 minutes. All right, let's say if the challengers were to be brought back today, all right, if you had to name one significant thing that they would need to do in a rebooted format to make it work and make it stick for more than one season today, what would that one thing have to be? If anybody's got an idea, throw it out there. Not all at the same time, but
bring back the Ultimate Challenge.
Okay, you're saying that the Ultimate Challenge definitely, and from what you said before, do it the old way, the first
right.
way. Okay, all right. Anybody else have a thing? Go ahead, Josh.
I know that this may be risky, but I say they need to extend it to an hour-long format just so you could be able to get enough of the round 1 and round 2 questions in, and then you would be able to add in a third round that could be played against the clock or something like that. Add something a little bit more to the format, but bring back the Ultimate Challenge, and obviously the money needs to be quite bigger. Like, we're talking maybe a couple thousand a question, to be honest, because if you're going against shows like if you're going against shows like The Wall, Millionaire, Match Game, if you're going to go against those shows on a regular basis, you're going to have to increase your money amounts.
Okay, so you're thinking of this not from a syndicated standpoint. You're thinking of it from prime time.
Oh, hell yes.
and you know what? Given how some people felt a little shafted again these past 2 seasons by 500 questions, maybe that could be an idea or whatever. So, well, maybe we've given Ron Greenberg an idea if he wants to jump in for it.
Oh, yeah. I was also going to say that if you can't do it, if you can't get like a full-on regular series, then do something similar like what Duel did with its first series, where they had just be the top-ranking people leading up to a certain night. Like, you could do a whole month of competition in prime time, and then on the last Sunday of the month, you bring back the top 3 scorers to play for like $1 million or something like that.
Well, who knows? So, like I said, we can't necessarily play every game for $1 million, but again, that's just what logistics say. Well, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have to cut this off here or whatever, because we
forgot about Charles.
Yep. Okay. Well, did anybody else? Well, really quick, did anybody else have an opinion about what would challengers need to do today in order to succeed? Did anybody else have a? Charles, you got to chime in.
I say update the theme music.
Okay, so you like everything else the way it is. You just like the rest of the package. So who knows? Well, again, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of things, but everybody comes into a game show looking for something different. We've proven that many times here.
That's true.
Okay. All right. So here. All right. Now we gotta definitely cut this because we're running short on time. All right. So we survived tonight once again. We seem to keep having weird circumstances with these shows tonight, guys, but we're going to keep on trying, and we know that the next time we do this again in 4 weeks, we're not going to even have Google Hangouts anymore.
No, we're going to find something better. Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out the new YouTube system, wherever it is. But we promise you out there, folks, we're going to make this work. We're going to do whatever it is that we got to do. In the meantime, just keep staying tuned to the channel. Make sure to find us over on Facebook and like us over there, facebook.com/LostSilverProductions. Join help support us with the operation on Patreon, patreon.com/LostSilver, and we're gonna keep the other things going. We'll keep convention attention going. We got a lot of game episodes from the anime circuit that we gotta we got to post. So we're gonna be getting those over the next month or so, because we got a little downtime on our hands. So we got some things to keep you guys interested in moving or whatever. In the meantime, we're gonna figure out this darn system and see what part of it we've got to kick butt with during the next couple weeks. So Josh, I know you just left. Thank you, Josh, for joining us. Charles, thanks for jumping in again. Good to see you.
Brother, man.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
All
brother.
right. All right. David Hammonds, like I said, I know you wanted to join in tonight. We love you. We're gonna do this right by hook or by crook. You know that very well too. All right. In the meantime, we got to bail. Scott Goldstein there. That's Paul Williams there. I'm Brian Spinski here. All the gang of Lost Silver Productions. We'll see you very, very soon, and just good night to all.
And to all, good night.
And now we faint.